Early detection saves lives, and veteran Donita Butler is living proof. A simple, painless CT scan caught her lung cancer early, and now she's using her story to inspire others to get screened. She's joined by Dr. Drew Maganahi to share how new research and blood tests could soon help detect cancer earlier than ever. Doctor, let's start with you. So why are veterans at elevated risk for contracting lung cancer?
Lung cancer emerges because of injury to the lungs, and a lot of our veterans smoked and were exposed to chemicals that they inhaled either on military bases or in the field of battle. So when you put this all together, you have injury to the lungs, you have a weakened immune system, and the immune system is unable to prevent these lung cancers from growing, and this is why we're seeing a high rate of lung cancer in our veteran population.
Despite VA coverage, only a small fraction of eligible veterans get annual CT scans. So what are the most significant barriers to getting our nation's veterans screened?
Well, you know, if you're a veteran getting care at a VA medical center, by policy, you're likely having a conversation about it. So that's a good thing. But I think a lot of veterans outside the VA just don't even know about it, and they're not asking, and their family doctor might be too busy to bring it up. But even when there is a conversation, a lot of the veterans just don't want to know. I think it's because they don't realize how good the treatments have become. So there's this fear of what it might be. But we're here to send this message of hope, which is that if you give us a chance, we can actually cure your lung cancer before it grows and spread. We can't prevent it yet at this time, so we can catch it early. And I think if more people knew this, they would actually want to get screened once a year.
How close are researchers to making a routine blood test for early lung cancer detection a reality?
We've got several promising blood tests already starting to be used. They're not yet perfect. They've got some problems. They're, making errors in telling people that they may have cancer or missing those who have cancer. So for now, the right test is a CT screening scan in those people who actually have a high smoking history, but we're just a few years away where a blood test is going to be available for all people who want to know whether they have lung cancer or not.
Can you explain how biomarkers guide targeted or immune-based treatments?
Well, because of a tremendous amount of science and research, we now know that there are dozens and dozens of different types of lung cancers, and there are dozens and dozens of different drugs for the different cancer types. So no longer do you just get a biopsy and say it's lung cancer, non-small cell or small cell. You need to send the tissue out to a special laboratory where they order what's called a biomarker test. And you get a long report that helps our oncologists determine which drugs to give depending on the lung cancer type. And so if you're just getting chemotherapy, you got to be sure that's not the wrong drug. It could be the wrong drug. And sometimes the drug is literally just a pill that you take without having to go sit in a chair and get an IV infusion of chemotherapy. So all people with advanced lung cancer should be getting biomarker testing, and I hope that everyone knows that this is the case.
Would you consider taking part in a clinical trial?
Well, I have no evidence of disease right now. My surgery was curative. If I was to have a recurrence and there was a clinical trial available, I absolutely would participate in it. I have talked to many people in the lung cancer community that are involved in clinical trials, and they credit it to them saving their lives.
How do you feel knowing a single vial of blood could one day detect cancer?
You know, one of the biggest letdowns after I was diagnosed, I was so thrilled when I was able to be diagnosed at an early stage and have successful treatment and to be considered cured. That was huge to me. But then I involved myself in the lung cancer community, and there I met many people that are 20s, 30s, and 40s diagnosed at stage 3 and stage 4 that had no smoking history and no known risk factors. That was like a huge thing for me to learn. And I was very depressed about that. I was like, I was the lucky one. I was able to be diagnosed. I had the test available to me. These people struggled to get diagnosed. And then I learned about the liquid biopsy, the blood test, the simple blood test. And that is such a beacon of hope. I mean, that's such a ray of hope for the future, for people to be able to be diagnosed through a simple blood test rather than the torture that they went through to finally get to their diagnosis.
What is your message to veterans about getting screened?
My message to veterans is don't be afraid of the CT. Don't be afraid of a lung cancer diagnosis. If the CT will allow you to be diagnosed early, it's highly curable. It's a painless test. Do it for yourself, do it for your family. Give yourself that gift of life. If you are eligible for a lung cancer screening, please do it.
Please go to lcfamerica.org, where there is a tremendous amount of useful information if you want to learn more details about early detection and lung cancer treatment.
Thank you so much for joining us today.